Hi, in this video I want to talk about antivirus and AVG specifically. So WP Pipeline is designed to manage your WordPress blogs and help protect your WordPress blogs. That's its primary objective. But you do need to start, when it comes to antivirus and malware, you need to start down at the basic level, and that's at your PC or whatever device you're using to access the internet with. Now, it's important to keep that virus free. Now, there is a complete interaction between your PC and your websites when it comes to hacking and malware. Let me just have a little explanation around that. What tends to happen is the idea is that a website that you access will infect your PC by downloading or forcing you to download or tricking you into downloading some kind of code that will get onto your PC. Now, the reason it gets on there is because you don't have an antivirus. You don't have some way of blocking that. So if that gets onto your PC, it will then run inside your applications or inside your programs. And depending on what virus it is and which one it is and what it's been designed to do, it can do a variety of things. I mean, it can do a number of things that actually trash your PC in the first place. But what's more likely to happen these days is that you won't even know that it's on your PC if you don't have an antivirus that tells you, because it won't give any indication that it will trash your own particular computer. And the reason it does that is because it wants to be more stealth, it wants to be more silent, more secretive, because the idea is it wants to get information from your PC that it can use to then access your websites. It will get information or can get information, i.e. stuff that you've typed in, for instance. Obviously, the things that it's looking for is passwords. So if you've got those stored, then they can gather those passwords, and they can use those passwords to access your website. And the kind of passwords I'm talking about are your WordPress, obviously admin logins, and also importantly, your cPanel or FTP logins, because that gives them access directly into the hosting, and then they can access from the back end in that way. So any kind of information that it can get from your PC, it will then use to hack into your blogs. When it gets into your blogs, it'll put code on your blogs that then downloads the same codes to other people's computers. In other words, it will infect your blogs. Other people will go online. Their PCs will get infected. They'll find their passwords. They'll hack into their blogs. And it's one big vicious circle. So what you need to do is to make sure that you kind of draw a line under at least part of that. And that's by putting a good antivirus on your PC and blocking part of that cyclic process. You may have a antivirus that you use and find very successful, and that's fine. If you've got one, that's absolutely great. You absolutely should have. I would be kind of surprised if we found somebody who didn't have an antivirus on here, because they would probably already be found themselves in trouble. So if you haven't got antivirus, or you're paying for antivirus that you can't afford, etc., then there is a fantastic actual free alternative, and this is this AGV antivirus. Now, there is a paid version as well, and of course they will try and upgrade you to that, but the free version is excellent and will cover all your basic antivirus needs. And just like any of the others, like Norton, etc., it has daily updates, etc. It's well looked after, well supported. It's a really, really good antivirus program. So I'll just show you. You can get it at free.avg.com. If I just take that in, obviously depending on where you are geolocated, it will takes mine to the EU English, and you'll be US English or wherever it is you are, it'll give you your own particular version. Now make sure you're downloading this AVG Antivirus Free 2013 is the current version. I click this download button and it actually takes me to the options. Now, as I say, there is a paid version, and obviously from a marketing perspective and a layout perspective, it's designed to try and get you to take that paid version. But as I said, that's absolutely fine. If you want to take a paid version, that's brilliant too. But the free version does work very, very, very well. In the comparison table, it kind of looks up and says, oh, just basically detects and stops viruses, threats, and malware. And then kind of none of this is filled in, except for keeps your PC running more smoothly. And all the other options here seem to be an awful lot on the paid ones. One of the key things just to check, it says here, keep your emails protected. There's nothing in there, but I can assure you that the free version actually will scan every single email coming in as well. So that is done. So I kind of suspect that some of these activities are going on, even though they're not checked. When you get down the bottom here, said, just make sure you click the download for the free version and not the free trial, otherwise your trial will run out and then they'll be looking to pay for that when it runs out. So just download the free version. As I said, we're going to pay for the version, absolutely fine, go for it. But the free version works perfectly well. As you're installing it, you will need to make sure that you uncheck any boxes that offer you any additional options, like I think it offers some toolbars and some default search settings. I'll give you an AVG as a default search. A lot of applications do this. It's a bit of a nuisance, but you just got to make sure as you're doing it, just uncheck those boxes that say it's going to install toolbars, because you probably don't want any extra toolbars in there. There'll be enough on the top of your PC already. So anyway, I won't go through a full install. You'll see, I'll show you in a moment. I've actually got AVG installed on mine, but I will just give you some tips about what to do with it. Okay, once installed, then down here you'll find an AVG icon. So if you just open that up, you get the AVG page or the AVG control panel. As I said, everything else is pretty much installed, pretty much done. There's nothing else to do except maybe the scans. So you do want to set up scans as well. So it does active monitoring, but you want to do at least once a month scan. Probably once a week scan would be better. So it's got a scan now with scan options. So you can actually set the schedule scan. So again, if you set this up, that's the list of schedule scans not in there. Scan the whole computer settings, and there we go. We've got the settings. We want just basically leave everything as default. I would, and I could start a scan there. But once that setting is done, that's okay. And look at the files and folders. As I said, everything really, to be honest, you can just leave this as default. So as I said, you can scan that. So it's got the last date scan, which is today, so it's already done a scan this morning. You can do a manual scan by clicking that. I'll just go off and scan everything, and of course it's all very easy to follow. If it's got any problems, it'll tell you what they are, etc., etc. I'm not going to run that scan. I'm going to close that down. I'm just going to show you one other thing, which is built into AVG for you, is once it's installed, you actually get an option on the right-hand menu when you're looking at files and folders, and you can scan individual files or individual folders. So one good tip I'll give you for this, working with WP pipelines, if you've got a problem that with one of your websites and you're trying to find any viruses on there or any malware on there, then one of the things to do is kind of download it to your PC and you can scan it there. And here's how you can do that. Let's go to the clone, move, and create blogs. And the reason I go there is because you can go and create a clone blog template. So if I click just do that, it'll list my blogs for me. I'll just go to one of these blogs a minute. Let's just take that shooting gloves one and do the template. The reason I've done this way is because it takes me out to the site. It takes me to the duplicator, which is just basically a one-click copy of the site. So what I can do a one-click copy of the site and download it, and here it is. So if I just click this icon here, go off, I'll create a package set, and basically it'll go off and it'll just create a zip file with everything from that site in it. Now it does include the database, so if you've got a very large database, it might be a large file, so you might be easier going to the actual BackWP app and creating just a file only backup and create that and download that if this is very big. But if this isn't too big, then this is the quickest way to get it down. So again, it's only 90 meg, so I just click the package and it allows me if I want to save the file. So I can save that file, and I'm going to put it in this. Let me just go back one moment. Just going to create a folder for this. I'm just going to call that test for the moment. What I suggest you do, I've got a file called malware stuff do not open, because obviously you don't really want to be putting malware on your site, but remember this is actually a website file that you're just dropping down there. You can delete these as soon as you finish with them. But I'm going to save that file now, and it will just download that. It'll just take a minute or so to download that file. So I can just go and find it in my Windows Explorer. malware stuff. There's my test folder, and there we can see you've got the zip archive here that I've just downloaded. And if I right click that now, and you'll find you have a scan with AVG, which is great because now I can actually scan the files and it will go off and it will run a quick scan and say, even though it's 20 meg, it doesn't take very long at all, just literally a few seconds to scan through everything. And if it finds any problems, of course, that's another way to find any issues on your actual website. Very difficult to access your website sometimes, so and look for these things. So pull your website down and we can scan it through here. And you've got a full AVG active scan to looking at those files. So say another cool way of looking at it. But in the further videos from here, there are some automated scans and automated processes for looking at it through WP Pipeline as well. So when you're talking about dealing with antiviruses, you need to take a holistic view of things. Like I said, you need to look at your PC, you need to look at the website, and there's this huge interaction between them. And sometimes when you do get a problem that eventually gets in there, if somebody does get in there, it may not even be your own fault in the beginning. Hacks can get in via the hosting, they can get in via securities or lack of security in files, plugins, themes, that even if you've got them up to date, still somebody can find something before it happens, they can still get in. So there are ways of finding things on your website, and it means you'll need to go through some kind of process to actually detect that and to remove it. Now, I'm not covering off specifically how to remove malware from your web pages in this tutorial. This doesn't really encompass that part specifically. But the general process does tend to be somewhat manual, and it's identify what these issues are using these tools and the WPP built-in tools that we now have for security. Once we've identified what particular files are infected, we can actually manually look at those with some kind of text editor, identify the portions of the files that actually are the added threats, and in general that's what they are. They are simply just a piece of code that's inserted in there, so they're usually relatively easy to find. Once you find one, they tend to be replicated into other files, so you kind of just find the first one, and then it's a matter of copying a little piece of that, and you can actually then manually search the other infected files. Or in fact, you're better off to search every file on your PC then, every file on your website then, to make sure it hasn't got this piece of script in it, and then removing those scripts manually. But with all our protection now in place, that's going to reduce the risk of that happening massively.